plane's fuel tank and the interest of greater lightness had only been partly filled, hence we now had to exert caution in our explorations. Even so, however, we covered an enormous extent of ground, or rather air. After swooping down to a level where the wind became virtually negligible. There seemed to be no limit to the mountain range, or to the length of a frightful stone city which bordered its inner foothills. 50 miles of flight in each direction showed no major change in the labyrinth of rock and masonry that clawed up corpse-like through the eternal ice. There were, though, some highly absorbing diversifications, such as the carving on the canyon, where the broad absorbing where the broad river had once pierced the foothills and approached its sinking place in the Great Range. The headlands of the stream entrance had been boldly carved in the cyclopean pylons, and something about its ridgy, barrel-shaped designs stirred up oddly vague, hateful, and confusing semi-remembrances of both Danforth and me. We came also upon several star-shaped open spaces, evidently public squares, and noted various undulations in the terrain. Where a sharp hill rose, it was generally hollowed out in some sort of rambling stone edifice, but there were at least two exceptions. Of this latter, one was too badly weathered to disclose what it had been on the jutting eminence, while the other still bore a fantastic conical monument carved out of solid rock, and roughly resembling such things known as the well-known snake tomb in the ancient valley of Petra. Flying inland from the mountains, we discovered that the city was not of infinite width, even though its length along the foothills seemed endless. After about 30 miles, the grotesque stone building began to thin out, and in 10 more miles we came to an unbroken waste, virtually without sign of sentient artifice. The course of the river beyond the city seemed marked by a broad, depressed line, while the land assumed a somewhat greater ruggedness, seeming to slope slightly upward as it receded in the mist-hazed west. So far we made no landing, yet to leave the plateau without an attempt at entering some of the monstrous structures would have been inconceivable. Accordingly, we decided to find a smooth place in the foothills and near our navigable pass, there grounding the plane and preparing to do some exploration on foot. Though these gradual slopes were partly covered with a scattering of ruins, low flying soon disclosed an ample number of possible landing places. Selecting that nearest to this pass, since our next flight would be across the Great Range and back to camp, we succeeded at about 12:30 p.m. in coming down on a smooth, hard snowfield, wholly devoid of obstacles and well adapted to a swift and favorable takeoff later on. It did not seem necessary to protect the plane with a snow banking for so brief a time, and so comfortable in the absence of high winds at this level. Hence we merely saw that the landing skis were safely launched, and that the vital parts of the mechanism were guarded against the cold. For our foot journey, we discarded the heaviest of our furs and took with us a small outfit consisting of pocket compass, hand camera, light provisions, voluminous notebooks and paper, geologist hammer and chisel, specimen bags, coil of climbing rope, and powerful electric torches with extra batteries. This equipment having been carried in the plane on the chance that we might be able to effect a landing, take ground pictures and make marked drawings and topographical sketches, and obtain rock specimens from some bare slope, outcropping or mountain cave. Fortunately, we had a supply of extra paper to tear up, place in a spare specimen bag, and use on the mazes, the ancient principle of hare and hounds for marking our course in any interior mazes we might be able to penetrate. This has been brought in case we found some cave system with air quiet enough to allow such a rapid and easy method in place of the usual rock chipping method of trailblazing. Walking cautiously downhill over crusted snow toward the stupendous stone labyrinth that loomed against the opalescent west, we felt almost as keen as a sense of imminent marvels as we felt on approaching the unfathomed mountain pass 4 hours previously. True, we had become visually familiar with the incredible secret concealed by the barrier peaks, yet the prospect of actually entering primordial walls reared by conscious beings perhaps millions of years ago, before any race of men could have existed, was nonetheless awesome and potentially terrible in its implications of cosmic or abnormality, though the thinness of the air at this prodigious altitude made exertion somewhat more difficult than usual. Both Danforth and I found ourselves bearing up very well and felt equal to almost any task which might fall to our lot. It took only a few steps to bring us to a shapeless ruin worn level with the snow, while 10 or 15 rods farther on there was a huge roofless rampart, still complete in its gigantic 5-pointed outline and rising to an irregular height of 10 or 11 feet.